Madam Superintendent, that is the list.
All right. Seeing we've answered all questions that you have at this time, and you've received a very thorough and long presentation from our leadership team, again, regarding how we've gotten to the recommendation I'm making to this board today, which is that the board approve the 2020-2021 return to school plan as I've described it, which is the fully virtual model for the first 9 weeks and includes for limited in-person instruction for specific groups of students as we're able to. And so I am asking for the board's approval at this time, Mr. Chairman.
All right, well, let me start off. I guess each of us probably make a comment prior to the recommendation that you're going to make. So I will start my comments. I will yield to my Vice Chairwoman, Mrs. Ogburn. Then I will proceed to my right with Mrs. Kinsella. Then I will come to my left with Mrs. Shea. Then I will conclude to the left with Ms. Atkins. I want to first thank everyone who took time to share their concerns regarding the reopening of our schools. I, like my peers and our superintendent and staff, have received countless emails, phone calls, and posts on social media from the community providing personal accounts of how our decision as a board will personally affect our students, employees, and our families. The decision on the path forward is challenging. The needs of our children, the public health risks, and the capacities of schools had to be carefully considered. This pandemic has forced us to reimagine our normal lives and stretch beyond our levels of discomfort. It has also shed a bold light on the systematic inequities and implicit biases that exist across the country and also right in our own backyards. There are schools within HCPS that serve a large number of families impacted by poverty, and many of these students concentrated in Eastern Henrico schools are confronted with a myriad of barriers in their homes and community that often impacts their learning. Teaching, learning, and parenting in a district where poverty is concentrated creates a unique set of challenges and needs that will need to be considered. Since there are schools in the Fairfield district that are not fully accredited, and additional time outside the classroom will likely widen the achievement gap. Many persons have asked some thoughtful questions and raised many valid concerns regarding cleaning and sanitation protocol, PPE provisions, face mask requirements, hazard pay, employment protections, child care concerns, social and emotional support for the students, provision of supports for IEPs and 504 plans, continuity of gifted and special center learning, and other budgetary concerns. As a father of 2 sons who attend schools in HCPS, I understand the emotions that many of the families are experiencing because I am experiencing them myself as a father. My children express their frustrations daily, citing the missed socialization, playing with their friends, and even miss seeing and talking to their teachers. I have also been faced with similar concerns related to protecting the safety of a son who is immunocompromised and ensuring that both of my sons' learning needs are being adequately addressed during this pandemic. While my ultimate goal and desire is a full return to school, I have to consider all of the available data, feedback, and guidelines received. My decision today is based on the safest return that maximizes opportunities for student learning, considers the social and emotional needs of our children, and maintains the health and safety of all HCPS employees, students, and the community. I yield to Mrs. Ogburn.
Thank you, Reverend Cooper. It is our charge to make a very difficult decision. And in our recent survey, I was so gratified to learn that the bulk of the community has their faith and trust in us to do it. And they have their faith and trust in our teachers to do what's right and to meet the needs of our kids. But before, the main thing I really think we need to do is, as a community, we need to stop being divided. We need to come together, we need to get this done, and we need to do it for our kids. And we can, I think we have proven in the past as humans that we can rise to just about any challenge, and we can come together to make the best of a terrible situation that we are all in. If I said this earlier, if we could get back to normal, believe me, I think we would all rush. I've even had students in the last week said, I used to hate school and now I know how much I love it. And they miss it. They do. We all do. We miss going into schools just like everybody else does. But we need the full cooperation of every employer in this county to work with parents to make this possible and to make it so that parents can get through this and the challenges that they and their children face. They need to be flexible. They need to understand the challenges that parents are facing and have faced all spring. But we also need the parents to work with their friends, their neighbors, their family members, their teachers to come up with a way forward. And that way forward has to support our kids' learning. We cannot have them stagnant. We cannot have them look back on this time as a time of loss, but we can do this. And I really do know that we can, and we can get the job done for our kids because that's what it's all about. And we're doing, all the work that we all do is for the children of this county. And I know we're up to the challenge. And so really and truly, it is time to stop being divided and let's move forward together. Ms. Kinsella?
Well, thank you, Mrs. Ogburn. I do agree with you there that the less division we can have. I mean, I was thinking more globally as in one Henrico, if we just all work together. But I agree with you. In regard to this decision, there aren't metrics, not so much for the decision, but for the weight of the impact of today's decision on our communities. And while we all probably agree, we all want to return to normal, to school on September 8th in person, we must remember these are not normal times. I believe traditional education has changed, and we all must work together to adapt. And quite frankly, that's some of the C's that we're going to make it work. And as to our cornerstones, I can tell you that as a school board member, we heard you. We've talked to you. We've read media. I mean, we have just really, we've heard you. We've read everything. We've listened. We've documented it. And this process has been nothing short of Herculean to bring forth back-to-school solutions that ensure these cornerstones up on these walls, starting with prioritizing safety and wellness first, academic growth, equity and opportunity, and relationships. Centered around these cornerstones, supported by volumes of data and feedback, are the foundation that support my decision today. I just want to thank every single stakeholder who gave me feedback, whether it was in the Brooklyn district or elsewhere. Thank you so much. Thank you to every single principal who took the time with me this week to really help me understand what I need to advocate for today. And thank you to Dr. Cashwell and our school's leadership team for working nonstop for months. I know someone asked me, what have you been doing? I haven't seen you. I'm thinking, we have not stopped working. So just thank everyone for brainstorming with the board members, answering questions, helping us to find solutions together to support our 4 cornerstones as we go back to school one way or the other on September 8th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ogburn. Thank you so much, Ms. Kinsella. Mrs. Shea.
Thank you so much. As many of you know, I have wrestled with this decision because I believe it's my job to wrestle with this decision and all its parts and pieces. I'm not so arrogant as to act on an initial instinct on such a complex decision. Through it all, I prioritized health and safety, but as we heard earlier in our public forum, the word safety has become a bit ambiguous and meaning different things to different people during this trying time. So let me approach it practically with the things that we learned in our discussion here this afternoon. Instruction in the building isn't going to look normal. And I suggest that what we can offer virtually for the first 9 weeks in many ways is more developmentally appropriate, being able to use best practices of education. We learned we do not have the staffing to safely open buildings in a hybrid or 5-day model. I shared I've been concerned about the vulnerable communities, the double working families, single parents, and students whose safety net is school. But there's a solution through our HEF and community partnerships childcare with safely sized pods. And while it doesn't alleviate all of the concerns, it ameliorates the biggest gaps. I've also had concerns that all of our learners can benefit from this learning. And I cannot express enough thanks for our ESY teachers, summer school teachers, and parents of students in summer school that have spoken with me in the last few days and shared their experience this summer of how well it's going with virtual learning and the amount of student autonomy after the first few hours on the first day. You have encouraged me. The goal of every single person in this room is to get our school kids back to school in a semi-normal setting. And to do that, we need your help, community. We need you to wear your mask. We need you to stop socially gathering. And we need you and all of us to work together, stop antagonizing each other, and support each other in our community so that we can all get our kids back to school, which is our greatest goal. Ms. Atkins.
Well, guys, we're at 6:15. We have all been waiting to get to this point. We all have. Those in this room and those that are watching virtually and those who are at work, and when they get home, the first thing they're going to do is find out what the decision is. So we are at that place. I'm going to start with saying that public education is a partnership. Family, community, and school system. We have to acknowledge the unknown. We don't know what we don't know. We have to embrace change with a positive outlook and work to resolve challenges. It deeply concerns me that some communities spend more energy on name-calling, bullying, finding fault, than moving forward with finding solutions. We have great educators, leadership teams. We have the PTA, the PTSA, community partners, volunteers, all in our school system, some with no pay, some with low pay, and definitely long hours all day. We have a fabulous system in here in Henrico County. We love our students. We love our students. We don't like them, we love them, because we sacrifice so much for them. I understand concerns. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a friend, I'm an auntie, and probably any other titles you want to think of. But most importantly, sitting in this seat, I'm the school board representative for the Varina District, and I'm a history maker for a reason. And I want folks to know that here's the truth. This struggle we're talking about here, it was here way before COVID. This struggle we're talking about affordable child care, was here way before COVID. This struggle that teachers are talking about finding creative ways and having the freedom to teach, was here way before COVID. And I could go down the laundry list of things that was here before COVID. But here's a silver lining. COVID is providing an opportunity to put a flashlight, to gain the eyes and ears on topics that folks didn't want to see and didn't want to hear. And we are here. Our voices are being heard right now. And all of these things aren't going to be resolved in a day. All of these things aren't going to be resolved by Henrico County Public Schools, whether you like it or not, because Henrico County Public Schools didn't create all of them. This is a hands-down local, state, and federal effort. But I'm going to tell you like this. It's Henrico County Public Schools that provided meals for kids. It's Henrico County Public Schools that provided shelter for homeless kids.
I can tell you that because I've talked to 2 of them. And there's a ton of things that Henrico County Public Schools do, far beyond teaching. And I'm going to tell you something else Henrico County Public Schools do. We put health and safety first. And I didn't mean to preach to all of you in the room and all of you watching virtually, but I will tell you this. Alicia Atkins is sharing her heart. I am not perfect. No one up here is. We have made mistakes in the past. We're going to make them in the future. But the one thing everybody up here on this stage has right is that we love our kids, we push our staff because we believe in our staff. And when doors do open, for those that say, hey, you can't prevent somebody from being COVID positive, you probably can't prevent someone from dying. But what we can prevent is knowing that we know we did everything that we could do to save a life. And that's the difference. And so as you think about whatever decision and the will of the board is going to be, know that you can be a history maker. Know that you also are leaders and decision makers. And you have a choice. You have a choice to focus on failure and fault or the future. Because this is Transformation 2020, and the mission is forward. Chairman Cooper, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ms. Atkins. Dr. Castro, will you please restate your ask, please?
Certainly, Chairman. I am seeking the approval of this board to approve the 2020-2021 Return to School Plan, which includes a fully virtual approach for the first 9 weeks, including limited in-person instruction for select groups of students.
Board,
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion, if that's okay.
Second.
Oh, I haven't made it yet.
Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the superintendent's plan as proposed to return virtually with those conditions that she has laid out. Now, Ms. Kinsella.
Second.
the vice chairwoman of the Henrico County School Boards has made the motion. Ms. Kinsella has seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Are there any nays? The ayes have it. The motion is clear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, and to our community. As was stated before, this was not an easy decision or recommendation to make, and I want you to know that we understand the concerns. We understand there's trepidation moving into the new school year in a fully virtual format, and I hope we've demonstrated this afternoon in the presentation that staff gave, as well as the comments you've heard from our incredibly committed board, that we are going to work with our families to address the hurdles however we can. I understand the concerns. We know that any path towards a new school year would have come with tremendous challenge and bumps along the way, but I am inspired by the entire Henrico community and the way we have and will come together in creative and innovative ways in service of our children during this unprecedented and challenging time.